When Greg asked for demos 2 months ago, I asked, is silly okay? He said, the dumber the better. So I said, hold my beer, and here we are today. So I'm fascinated by our use of AI and how we manage to take those advancements and essentially nullify them. This is pretty much text summarization defeating text generation, because neither of them were interested in writing or reading that email. Lately, apparently there's a company that's going to do an AI interviewer so they could vet candidates at scale. I cannot wait for somebody to create AI candidates so you can interview at plenty of places and have the two follow their prompt endlessly. So I was looking for other nonsensical examples of AI, and I found my inspiration on the Hugging Face website. I mean, it's right there: text to image, and then image to text, text to image, image to text. That really sounds like a game of Telestration, and Telestration is fun because we have just a black marker on a white pad and a limited amount of time, so all the sketches are inherently can be misinterpreted. But with AI models being so good at generating nice pictures, what would I do? So I kind of built a demo for that, and we're going to run it. So first, a quick shout out for the folks at RunPod. They were there 2 months ago. They set me up for some credits on their platform to run some models. So they have a bunch of open source image generation models. They're not necessarily very up to date as far as I can tell, but maybe that's going to help. So what I did is, so these can be called just by HTTP calls, and I've also deployed a Docker image of Olama on their platform. So it's right there running. And I'm going to use this to run computer vision models, in particular Lava and Baklava. All right. Let's see. Okay, so a brief explanation of the UI. On the left part, you've got everything that has to do with image generation. On the right part, computer vision. I'm going to use a system prompt for the image generation just to kind of explain, to constrain it, to not make, well, we'll start with without this actually, but just to constrain the style. So let's give it full range, photorealistic. Start. The prompt is going to be only used once to start with, so maybe kangaroo, practicing boxing, gym, and then below is the model. So maybe let's start with DALL-E. There's of course the OpenAI culprit, DALL-E for image generation, ChatGPT with vision for image description, and the same thing for the vision. I'm just explaining, hey, you're part of the game. And the prompt I'm trying to constrain it, like if you play Telestration, you essentially have not a lot of space to describe the image, so I just want to avoid getting like a 4,000 word paragraph. Yeah, and I can show you a tiny bit of code first. It's quite simple. I do have, so the web page has the logic is essentially there. I'm going to call image generation with the one-time prompt. It's going to send the system prompt, the prompt and the model selected to a local server. When I get the image back, if there's no error, I append it to the page, and then I call description, describe image with the URL that got back. That is also going to call the local server with its prompt. If we get a description, we put it, and then we start again by generating an image. And the proxy essentially is there to avoid any core cross-origin resource sharing issues. And most of it is just about, based on the model, formatting the parameters in the right formats. And then once this is the actual call to either platforms, so OpenAI or RunPod. And after that, when we get a response statement based on the model, unboxing it properly and sending that in a consistent format to the front end. All right, so let's go. Let's say DALL-E 3 and then against GPT Vision. So I think the most time-consuming part is the image generation. Usually the vision model is quite fast. The image is not loaded yet. We have the description. So kangaroo with boxing gloves and everything. So if now this is going to get new prompt, let's see if it makes any, like, if we get really consistent images or if we do get some variation. So we can see the kangaroo, still the boxing gloves, the gym kind of look the same. And I think it's it's not really fun because it's good at like making high definition pictures and also describing the main elements. So the composition is going to change slightly, but essentially we can get the same thing. Let's throw in one of the open source models where it's not as good, and maybe Lava has the description. Let's see what happens. But it takes a cycle for the changes to kick in because the request was already in play. Still very conservative. Oh, he's wearing boxers.
Boxers.
GPT-4 is also quite good at keeping the description at 10 words. Lava, on the other hand, is going to just say, okay, in the image, a kangaroo is holding boxing gloves and standing confidently in front of the exercise equipment, which includes weights, treadmill, exercise machines. The kangaroo is wearing red shorts, outfits with the word sports on it. I don't know where, but okay. There are dumbbells visible in the background, and you're both seeing he's set in a modern gym. So actually, this is more than we expected, but maybe that's going to give us something good. Okay. We're getting into a, I guess, setting style. Anthropomorphic animals and exercises. So it's no longer about boxing now, it's purely about the gym. Let's throw.
I believe it's more than 10 words.
Yeah. This is where you can see that it doesn't count. But surprisingly, it's quite faithful to the description, and I think, I mean, DALL-E, if you wish, ChatGPT kind of rewrites. It's getting. The gym is quite busy. DALL-E is actually rewriting. So ChatGPT is actually rewriting DALL-E prompts to include more details. So maybe a large description from Lava gives us something good. Okay, so now it's no longer a gym, it's a grand futuristic indoor.
It's Paris.
Losing track.
And there you go. Okay, so this is where I'll end, but essentially it just is DALL-E and ChatGPT. This is pretty boring, but as soon as we throw in all the models, then you do get the entropy and it goes off the rail. All right. That's it, folks.
Good.
That's a perfect example that when lessons.
I just, if you're interested, the source code is online, GitHub, Gilby Frogs, AI Telestrations, and I also wrote an article on LinkedIn. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, then he essentially have this without the LinkedIn. Any questions I can answer?
Did you try to run it for the whole night and see it?
I know because it costs too much. I'm paying for OpenAI, but yeah, I tried submarine in space, and usually you end up with a submarine in the water, and then some of the open source model would go very abstract, and then everything is off the rail after that. What did I try? Dragon API as well. Again, same thing. If you stick to OpenAI, you get a couple of spoons at table, but usually the mountain background, I must say, pretty faithful, and yeah, the open source models, because I guess they're not as fine-tuned as Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and DALL-E, you get more interesting results. It's also, it really sucks at the statement as well. This is how I try to make it as the Telestration likes, and black and white stick figure only.
Is it deterministic? Like if you have the same prompt and you run it multiple times, does it end up with the same thing, or does it, do you always get the spoons on the table?
I guess not. Let's try it. Wait, sorry. We started with DALL-E and ChatGPT. Okay. Very easy. Yeah, I guess it'd be curious to see if it remembers it generated such an image and would be the same again.
While it's working, so you chose these models out of your experience, right? So these models are working the best.
Yeah, DALL-E, and I mean, they were the easiest to start with. I was curious. My biggest problem was how I was going to run the image vision models, Lava and Baklava. I run them locally with Olama locally, but this is an Intel Max CPU only. It's extremely slow. So yeah, I guess to your point, it's not exactly the same. The composition changes a bit, but everything is there. All right, thank you everyone.